Tumblers coaches, I'm here to talk about weeks 5 and 6 for spring 2025. We're starting over here on the floor side of things. This is what the setup looks like. That big panel mat right here in the foreground is for that bridge kickover for age 9 to 11, but is not being used for the 5-6 or the 7-8 class. And then this cheese mat here is for the 5-6 and the 7-8 to be practicing their backward roll, but is not used in the 9 to 11. So those are kind of interchangeable. When you're doing the backward roll, please reference my previous video for suggesting ways to begin, because a lot of times the trouble just comes from starting it wrong. And then I purposely put that roll to candlestick the last 2 weeks so that you could reference what it's like to sit down and then kind of point your toes at the ceiling and point out the similarities to that. So hopefully if they remember that one, it will make an easy transition. And then you kind of want to show them what finishing in a tuck stand looks like, and a camel and a push-up, and point out that all of them include their knees not being on the ground. So that's a way that you can be asking them to improve on that if it's easy for them to get over. And then you could also have a child try that on the flat ground if that seems really easy for them and they're looking for more of a challenge. And you could, of course, always teach them what a straight arm backward roll to push up is well if they happen to be a really strong athletic kid. Then over on here, I have the yellow trapezoid here in this video, but it says to use the purple one, and I do think the purple is better. All pieces of the trapezoid, red, yellow, and purple, are the same height as one another, but they're different widths. And the purple one is the widest, and you will experience a lot of kids kind of kicking up to the wall and then moving side to side, and that yellow one might be tough to aim for. But again, you want them to start kneeling down already on the block, whichever one is there. I just didn't want to unvelcro the other one because we're using it tonight. Then your hands go here, and we're trying to kick our feet up to the wall and then come back down. We're doing this in all age groups, and the 9 to 11, you can teach them what a handstand shoulder shrug looks like and have them add that if this is simple for them. But the idea is, a lot of times we encounter kids at this age and your guys' experience of coaching, and you just think some kids can do a kick to handstand and other kids can't. But a lot of things go wrong between that start position and when their hands get placed on the floor. And their hands placement is oftentimes wrong when they're going against the wall. They're either like too close or too far away. So they kind of like bang into the wall or like go past a handstand. And I would also say one of the most common issues I see is kids rushing. So they think they have to go like really hard and really fast to get their feet up there, which is not entirely untrue, but then they kind of crash into the wall and bounce off of it sideways. And so you really have to teach them the positions to move through and go, it's kind of nice and easy. You want to reach your one foot way up to the ceiling and then try and gently touch the other one to it. And then on a wall handstand, the ultimate goal is that the only thing that touches the wall is their heels. So you don't want their butt on the wall. You don't want their back, their head, their shoulders. You want it to look like a straight line tilted to the wall. And that might even kind of result in a little bit of an arched handstand at first. But if you think of it when they're kicking up to a handstand and they're missing, they're kind of piked or hollow. And so overcorrecting and learning an art isn't the worst thing in the world. But then if they can do it in an arch, we want to teach them what straight feels like and try to get them to do that. But try to discourage them just laying on the wall. And if they are able to get up there and lay on the wall, then teach them that they want to get the rest of their body parts off of the wall. Because if their head and shoulders are touching right here, the first thing that'll happen when they go away from the wall is that they'll kind of do more of a roll instead of a handstand. So this is kind of a more controlled space to teach them that. And you should look at the video that is in the playlist. There's a great example of a couple 4 to 6 year olds trying it that I think will help you better than me trying it and seeing it. Then on the laser beam, the 5 to 6 year olds are doing long jump. We want to teach them that they want to be trying to keep their feet on the beam the whole time. Don't just fall off because it's right there. And a long jump is really a strength exercise that we're kind of putting on the beam, teach them what their feet lined up looks like, have them try it with each foot in front. Then for the 7-8 class and the 9 to 11 class, we're working on a cartwheel here. And the reason I added with the beam is because at that older age, a lot of kids have done a lot of cartwheels and they kind of go, well, what's next? And we want to encourage them to try to be really vertical and straight up and down. So I wanted their cartwheel to start here and their hands to go here. And I even threw these 2 dots down so you can say what you're trying to do is land in between the dots and not touch them, so that you could do your cartwheel on the beam someday. And of course, when we're tumbling and trying to transition someday maybe to a round off, you want to be in a really straight line. So giving them those 2 things to land in between can help them. And then of course, if a kid is struggling a little more, you can teach them how to do a puddle jumper where they simply kind of bend down, place their hands on the mat and jump both feet over sideways. But then this beam really gives them the power to learn what the next step might be like by having to stand on the beam with their favorite foot in front. You'll see on the lesson plan, the couple other things that come up right away is sometimes kids have one foot out in front but want their hands to go a different way, and I always go with their hands. It's really hard to switch. If their upper body, they want their fingers to face one way, you should make their feet match that. And a lot of kids switch their feet in the air, so they start with one foot in the front, and then when they finish, they also try to put that same foot in front. So we want to tell them,
Joe is gone. I think we should probably leave early. Have a great weekend.
so we want to tell them that their feet do switch places. On a cartwheel, your favorite one starts in front, but then your other one finishes in the front. And then I thought it would be great to have the beam here because any kid who you feel is ready, you can have them back up to here and try their cartwheel on the beam. I think this is a safe place to let them experiment with that. We don't have to make kids do it if they don't feel ready. But you could also say, if you want to, you can try one on the beam and one over the mat, and then you can work on removing one or the other if one is a better fit for them. And then I just want to stress, anytime you start kicking up to things like handstands and cartwheels, kids stand right behind each other in line all the time, and so they're going to get kicked. So I'd make sure there's a dot off to the side wherever you want them to be, or wherever you want to put that. And then just make sure during directions, say you either need to be doing your cartwheel or on a dot. You can't be anywhere else because it's really easy to get kicked on this one. So keep pointing that out. Then up here on the medium beam, 5-6 is walking sideways. And then 7 and older is doing walking forwards, but kicking backwards. And the kids easily get confused because when you say kick backwards, they often turn around to walk backwards and kick backwards. So make sure you show or have somebody show, or have the kids try it on the ground first, of walking forwards and then lifting their leg out behind them, kind of like an arabesque, so that they can still see where the end of the beam is, and work on their lifting their leg in the back.
Here you're going to see 3 different pictures of how you could set up for the 5-6 monkey flip depending upon the size of their kids. This is if the kids were a little bit bigger. Then there's with a soft mat underneath, and third would be with the cheese mat underneath where they'd be smaller, but then they could also help with the incline to kick over. So pick whatever is best for your class, and you might even want to switch it depending upon like which pairing of kids is there, because it wouldn't be too hard to switch it in the moment.
Moving over to the bar side of things for weeks 5 and 6 for spring 2025, I'm going to address first one station that's similar for all 3 age groups but set up a little bit different. So the station the 5-6s are trying for the first time today is on this one, where they're doing jump to front support, 3 casts, and forwards roll dismount. And they have done the front support, but not the other parts yet. So some kids, that's just going to be a natural, no questions asked thing for them to try. And there will be some kids that you need to stand right by their side and help them. Some kids do get kind of nervous on that. They don't want to go forwards. They're nervous. They feel like they're falling. And I do kind of push them a little bit. If they've been up to front support, I'll just kind of shove them around the bar at least once and make them try it, because once they get upside down, it's not as scary as they think that it was going to be. But when you're spotting, you want to stand off to the side like this and have one hand like that on the back of their legs. So when they're leaning this way, you can slow down the back of their body so they don't just like flip over the bar. And then this is where I would do what I suggest in the lesson plan, where I put my hand right here and I'd say, go ahead and put your head in my hand. You can rest it right there. I'll help you. And then you can kind of go like this and help their head go down. And then again, we kind of talked last time, the kids sometimes release the bar and flip their hands like this because they're trying to keep their hands on top of the bar to hang on. So you do need to point out that they go like this and they need to scooch their hand forwards around the bar. And then again, like we touched last week, a huge piece of this station that we're trying to do when we're learning a forward roll dismount is that it's a pullover in reverse. So if they do that with their arms straight and they just like flop their body down, they're really not working on those muscles where you pull on the bar and can hold your arms bent and hold your chin above. So really make sure that you're showing that, celebrate it, beg the kids to do it, and make sure they're trying at it. Because if the piece of the puzzle that they're missing on their pullover is that arm strength, they're really not getting it anywhere else unless we're making them work on it on this station. And then you can see over there is where the 7/8 are doing the 3 casts and the forward roll dismount. And again, I put a panel mat right here, or you can put that squishy one there if you need something for them to feel a little more confident rolling forwards onto. And then the 9 to 11, they're graduating to that station that they've been working on, but getting spot on a back hip circle. So when you're going to spot a back hip circle, the main thing you have to focus on is keeping their hips towards the bar. So if you have one hand behind their legs, one behind their low back, and you're just pushing their hips towards the bar, no matter what angle they're at, you should be able to keep them on it and spot kids that are maybe as tall as you or close to the size of you. It is okay to ask somebody else to help you to spot too, and it's okay to ask them to do the station they've done before if they're really uncomfortable or you're uncomfortable, or it's just not helpful sometimes for kids to be getting spot on something that they're not even close to doing. But there is a rhythm and a swing involved, so sometimes once kids get the feel for it, they get it. And I would even say when I started kids on that, I'll say, okay, let's swing your legs 3 times and go on number 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go around the bar. And then you can kind of graduate to having them cast and be able to like do it a little more on their own. Another common mistake kids make is they throw their head backwards right away, which makes their body arch, which makes them fall away from the bar. So you want to make sure that to tell them to look towards their feet, which keeps their body round or hollow, which allows them to circle the bar. And you would be shocked how much kids can understand of kind of technical directions. So even if they might not get it, what if they do? So try to give them those directions and point it out, because some of the kids are smarter than they are athletic, and so they might be able to get something if you just give them the chance to learn that. And the video that I would look at on the playlist is called Bat Hang to Bat Hang, I think, and it shows one of our coaches showing that initial back hip circle spot without really casting first. You just kind of help them swing to a bat hang and then push back up to front support so that they understand those positions and that they get the feel for it. Then over here, I already took some photos that you saw in the video of different ways to set up this station. So for the 5-6, they're practicing a monkey flip there, where you can have no mat under, part of a mat under, part of the cheese mat under. You're gonna have to kind of judge based on the size of your class. But something important to know about a monkey flip and a backward roll is it's the same motion as a pullover, is going around the bar in that direction. So when they're working on any of those 3 things, they're really working on the other things. So the monkey flip gives them the chance to work on that kind of rotating upside down without needing the arm strength to keep their arms bent to pull above the bar. So when we pair together that forward roll arm strength with the monkey flip, then hopefully they're also going to be able to achieve their pullover a little bit better. And then this is where we're trying that running pullover, and you kind of got to get this cheese mat set like to where their hands go here and then their feet go like this and they kick over, which is kind of, instead of having the wall to run up here, their steps stop a little bit lower. And again, like it says in the lesson plan, it's important to teach them how to try that by themselves. So yes, do spot them, do help them, but you also want to be able to walk away and go, yeah, that was a good try. See, you're getting stronger. You'll get it soon, because it does feel different when somebody's not helping them. So make sure you show them during directions how to kind of run and kick up and fall back down without letting your arms go all the way straight. Then right here will be the P-bars station, where they pick up the beanbags with their feet. The one caution is you might have to adjust the number of beanbags. If the kids are kind of messing around, do less beanbags. And then this bar is where it suggests to do those 9 to 11 partner pull-ups, where you hold on to their legs and let them work on pulling their chin above the bar. So that should be similar to what you as a coach were spotting on 5 to 6, but letting the 9 to 11-year-olds spot each other. It might be a tall order. The kids might need to be paired differently. You might need to do it all together so that you can spot some of the kids if they're unable. But like when we have kids that start team, they start doing partner pull-ups sometimes as young as 6. So I think the 9 to 11s can at least give it a try at learning it and see how it goes. Then lastly, over here on the bar side for 5, 6, across this one, I have them doing a bear walk. So that should really look like camel stretch, where they're kind of tiptoeing and moving their hands. And you just need to think of it as like a flexibility exercise, as a core exercise, something where they have to learn how to take their time and use their muscles. And those muscles that clamp onto the beam like that, kind of side to side, are really building for what it would be like to do a handstand or a back walkover on the beam, where your hands are that close together. They don't experience that a lot. So it is a place where kids like to rush, and I don't know that coaches always see the value of it, but it's something we even have team kids do because it does have so many different little benefits to it. So try to coach at it and ask for it. Don't just let it go if they're kind of crouched down, like walking across the beam, barely touching it. Really ask them to do it better and show them how to do it. And then for the 7 to 8, they're moving their teeter-totter that they did down on the white beam up to this beam this week, and they're not using the white beam. So if you did have a kid who was kind of uncomfortable or needed more practice in the white beam, you could have them do the white beam instead, or do both beams if you needed to. And then for the 9 to 11, they're moving their teeter-totter or kick to handstand up to this one that they did on the white one last week. And it asked in the lesson plan to have them do both. So because they probably have a very little experience going upside down on the beam or kicking off of it, I think it would be great for them to be going white one, big one, white one, big one. Maybe they're kicking up on the white one, but teeter-tottering on the big one if they're feeling nervous, just as a way to kind of build that confidence where they might be kicking a little bit higher each time.
Here you see a video of me attempting the running pullover. So this is what I mean when I say we need kids to be able to try it on their own, because it does take muscles to hold themselves like that, and that's how they should try. So notice my head isn't going like towards the ground really fast. In the middle, I'm kind of slowing down, like I'm holding myself in that position. So that's what we're going for.